Quite a long time ago, I think we're talking about 3 years ago, in fact, I talked about the odd history of the Waterloo and City line, and I said, near the beginning of the video, that it wasn't on the tube map until 1994. Now, I thought it was fairly obvious from the context that I was speaking figuratively, but that did not stop approximately 19,241 people from commenting that actually it was. Now, I don't like to reward this kind of behaviour, but recently I found myself thinking, how actually has it been portrayed on maps? These days it shows up much the same as any other line. It's a coloured line, in this case a sort of aqua. But the thing is, until 1994 it wasn't like the other underground lines. Actually, it wasn't technically an underground line at all. It started out as a shuttle service between Waterloo and Bank. Originally it was called the Waterloo and City Railway. In theory it was independent, but in practice it was effectively part of the London and South Western Railway. The LSWR was a main line company. The Waterloo and City line was just a small part of their sprawling empire across the southwest of England. In 1923 the LSWR became part of the Southern Railway, and the Waterloo and City Railway came with it. In 1948 the Southern was nationalised, and in 1994 the process of privatising the railways began, and the Waterloo and City was bought for a nominal fee of just £1 by London Transport, at which point it became, officially and unambiguously, an underground line. So that's the background, that's why it wasn't treated like other lines. Now let's look at how it was treated by cartographers. Firstly, let's look at this tube map from 1908. Well, it does appear, but it's sort of ghosted out. This is one of the pre-Harry Beck maps that includes major streets, tram lines, and non-underground railways, as well as actual underground lines. And the Waterloo and City is treated as a non-underground railway. The London and South Western Railways map reflects the sort of independent but not quite nature of the line. It's depicted as part of the LSWR, but not filled in like a proper branch line. This map of the Southern Railway's electric routes also equivocates a bit. The Waterloo and City line is definitely on there, but again it looks different from other lines. The Southern like to make much of their electrified commuter routes. Tube maps would soon settle into the concept of not depicting any non-underground lines. That is, the lines owned by Underground Electric Railways of London and the Metropolitan Railway. The Waterloo and City line disappears from these, although it does appear on geographical maps where main lines do not. It's not depicted as a solid line like the other lines. By the late 30s it had started appearing on diagrammatic tube maps again. In the 50s it began to be depicted in much the same way that it would be right up until the 1990s. White, not listed in the key, with Waterloo and City Railway or line written on the line itself. In the 70s it was joined by certain other British rail lines that weren't part of the Underground but nevertheless were useful for the London traveller to know about. The Northern City Line and the North London Line. For a time in the 80s they were all portrayed in a sort of light orange. Meanwhile, on British Rail, this map from 1965 depicts it as a thin line, the same way as the minor, less popular lines. This London Connections map from the 80s shows it as almost but not quite the same as the other lines. They do feel the need to specify that this is the Waterloo and City line, presumably so that people know that they have to change trains at Waterloo. The Waterloo and City line fell under Network South East in 1986, but general maps of Network South East's network tend to omit it. To be fair, they do omit everything except the main lines. And of course, from 1994 onwards, it became a proper tube line, which is how it remains. So, that is a disordered and rambling history of the way the Waterloo and City line has shown up, or not shown up, on maps over the years. The line itself is a curiosity, so it's no real surprise that the line would be portrayed in a similarly curious and distinctive fashion. Well, I hope you enjoyed this cartographical tale from the tube. If so, please do leave a like and consider subscribing for more. I have to say, mile for mile, the Waterloo and City line must be the best value line for a YouTuber dealing with the underground. And hey, later this year it turns 125, so I guess I should make a video for that. Anyway, I would like, as ever, to thank my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. You are the useful BR lines to my tube map. And I will see you all again very soon for another tale from the tube.